Hi, this is Joyce Polino-Crane. I'm the news director at WestfordCAT, and I'm here today with Kevin Regan, the former principal of the day school and currently acting as the chairman of the day school playground fundraising committee.
Perfect,
I hope I got that right, Kevin.
You did get it right. Thank you for having me, Joyce.
Well, welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here today. So, Kevin, you're here to tell us a little bit about the fundraising campaign for the day school playground. The school does badly need a playground.
Yes, it's the only elementary school in town without one. So we are putting a lot of energy into that, and we'll come out with a great result with a beautiful playground for all children. Not only for day school children to use, but any children in Westford and maybe even family and friends that are visiting them, they can take a jaunt over to the day school playground.
Yeah, it will be wonderful. We'll talk a little bit about the design in a while, but I did want to, just for the benefit of our viewing audience, go over your background because it's very impressive. You were an educator in Westford for 38 years.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about that whole history?
I'd be glad to. In 1979, I started in this beautiful community as a physical education teacher at the day school, but back in 1979 it was called North Middle. Had 6th, 7th, and 8th graders attend there. And around 1981 or 82, the school was renamed the Normandy Day School. So I was a physical education teacher for 12 years. The last 2 years, while I continued to teach, I was an administrative assistant, which meant I had a full load of classes, and then I assisted the principal. And then in 1990, I went to the Robinson School as a coordinator. It was really the same name as an assistant principal, same responsibility. And then the year after that, I was still the coordinator at the Robinson School. I was the principal the last year the Cameron School, which is now the Cameron Senior Center, was open.
Wow.
And I also had some responsibility at the high school. And then that spring, summer, former Superintendent John Crisafulli transferred me to the day school as principal, and I stayed there in that capacity from 1992 to the end of the last school year, July 1st, 2017.
Wow, that's quite a history. And you did that all while raising 3 kids in town?
That's right, yes. Yeah, 3 Westford Academy graduates.
Wow.
They've gone on to have, 2 of the 3 have their own family and have done well and just received a great education here in Westford.
As did my children, I will say. They both graduated from Westford Academy as well. So
interesting.
I share that. So let's talk a little bit about the playground. So right now, you've got a geodome but the kids don't really have a whole lot of equipment.
Right, things have changed significantly, particularly for those children that are now 4th and 5th graders that were 3rd and 4th graders last year. Unfortunately, but it was the right thing to do, we demolished the former play structure. We had 2 slides that were inoperable. We had cracks in 2 other places on the main play structure, and it got to a point I was concerned one of the children were going to sustain a serious injury. So with the help of our maintenance department for the Westford Public Schools, we dismantled the playground last June. So what have students been doing this year? Being retired, you know, I don't see it firsthand, but I hear there's still a geodesic dome they play with. There's a drop shot, which is a piece of apparatus that has an opening on the top. You throw a ball on the top and it comes out of 1 of 3 openings. There are some tetherball poles the students use as a basketball court that has 5 baskets that the kids use. There are 4 square and a hopscotch painted on the hard top. But I think for many of the students, not having a main play structure is a different, very, very different experience that they're having this year compared to last school year.
So you have plans drawn up for the structure that you hope to build?
Yes. Actually, current principal Chris Lewis Sardella is working the design angle of the new playground. He actually has received a quote from School Specialty and has spoken to some other companies also. So he's working the design. What I hear of the design is that there will be swings. There were never swings with our previous playground, so that's going to be a huge addition, really embraced by the children. There's also going to be 2 zip lines, not 1 but 2. The previous playground we had 1. There'll be different types of slides and other opportunities for the students. So I've seen a picture of it, but I haven't been really that involved with the design because we parceled this out with Chris being the design person and myself being the fundraising person. So, but what I've seen and what Chris has told me, it really looks like a great, great playground.
The zip lines sound really interesting. I've always wanted to try one.
Yeah, and it's interesting. That's probably the most popular piece of equipment, with slides being a second popular device. But I think those may be both trumped by the 2 other pieces of equipment, the swings. And I believe there's I want to say there's 5 or 6 swings. We will include a handicap accessible swing too for children that have less mobility than others.
So let's talk money, because playgrounds are expensive.
Yeah, extremely expensive.
And that's what your role is to find a way to fund this. So how much is the estimate for this wonderful structure?
We received a quote of $159,000 from School Specialty, and with some other expenses, we're looking at about $171,000 that we want to raise, because there'll be some other expenses such as the buy a brick project we have going. The people that buy bricks and will also purchase some blanks to have a walkway paved so people can use that to enter into the playground area. So it's a lot of money to raise. We've been relatively successful at this point. We're hoping with our Buy a Brick campaign to raise $30,000.
Wow.
We actually have raised about $3,200 at this point. The bricks are for sale. If you go to dayschoolbricks.com, you can either order online or that will bring you to the brochure that you have. And if people's preference is to order by check, by using paper, then that's perfectly okay. We realize some people don't want to purchase electronically. So we actually have an introductory offer where the bricks, there's a 4-inch by 8-inch brick and an 8-inch by 8-inch brick. They're actually $75 for the smaller brick, $125 for the 8 by 8 brick. Once it gets to February 1st, those prices will increase. The 4 by 8 brick will become $100 per brick, and these are engraved, that's part of the cost, and then the $125 brick, the 8 by 8-inch brick, will increase to $175. So we want people to participate and buy at least 1 brick. Some people have purchased more than 1, but we're hoping to make about $30,000 towards that total of $171,000, and we're about 10%, a little over 10% of the way with that.
So you've already started selling some of the bricks.
We have, yes, we started.
And this is the brochure you have as well, right?
Yeah. Thank you to our committee. Our development team is really the fundraising team. The fancy name is development team. But Ruth Margits is one of our committee members, and she actually designed this with input and feedback from other committee members. I joke with Ruth that she could go into graphic arts as a profession, but it's really very well done.
It is. It's
We've
very
actually
well done.
taken the brochures, Joyce, and distributed them. It was a different color. We didn't make it colored to give to all the children, but the 6 elementary schools and the preschool here in Westford, we distributed those back in the 2nd week of December. At this point, they're available throughout town at places like the Cameron Senior Center, at Fletcher Library, at Town Hall. You'll see them in other places, but if you go on to dayschoolbricks.com, it walks you right through the whole process.
That would be the easier way to fill out.
It would be,
and
instead
buy
of
the brick.
feeling like you've got to access a brochure.
Yes. So the smaller bricks, what can you put on there? I see in the pamphlet, I can see some examples, something like the Regan family, or
Yeah, it's really an opportunity to celebrate maybe the birth of a niece, a nephew, etc., or to honor someone that is still living or might be deceased. So
memory.
it could make for a nice gift. Somebody was saying, I bumped into them shopping recently, and they said, my 2 daughters had such a great experience today. They're now in college, one finished college, that she'd like to buy a brick. So you have up to 3 lines on the 4x8 brick.
Okay.
As many as 20 characters per line. So we allow people to be creative. Certainly we have to monitor what people will put on the bricks, but people will use good judgment on that. And then the larger brick, the 8x8, you can use as many as 6 lines. So on either brick, you can use 1, 2, or all 3 lines, but the larger brick has 3 additional lines.
Very nice. So how much have you raised to date?
So far, we have raised $44,000. Prior to the start of the new school year, we had raised $20,000. About $11,000 of that came from the Race for Education, which was back in November of 2016.
And that was a road race, right?
It was a road race, yeah. All 6 elementary schools did, and it was just a fun day for the kids. A little bit cold. It was the day before Thanksgiving, again, a year ago. But the children really enjoyed it. It was a great community builder, lots of spirit. We actually used the area right outside the day school paved because the weather conditions were such that it would have been muddy if we got off of the hard top. So we had $20,000 raised going into this new school year, and since then we've raised $24,000. We've raised about $3,200 from the Buy a Brick campaign. We've had restaurant dine-in nights. We had a basket raffle. Currently, actually, today is the last day to order from Yankee Candle. Yankee Candle has been very successful. We have raised $4,000 from Yankee Candle.
Yeah, it's amazing how candles are such big sellers. I've seen some data on the rise of the retail sales of candles, and it's been amazing.
And one of the things our committee talked about is we had Hanukkah, Christmas, Diwali, Kwanzaa. We wonder if the timing just happened to work in our favor, that people purchase them for gifts around that time. But I think, there are people any time of the year like to burn a candle for various reasons.
It's so funny you should say that, because for the holidays I got a package in the mail from my sister, and it was heavy and it was big, and I opened it up and out came the biggest candle I've ever seen, and it weighed a lot.
Sure, yeah.
She mailed it from Dallas.
Oh.
So anyway, but there you go, the candle craze.
Yeah, it's been very successful. With each of our fundraisers, we actually project what our revenue will be, and for Yankee Candle, we thought it would be about $3,000, and at one point I thought that might have been even a little bit aggressive, but we've raised $4,000, and it'll probably end up being maybe $4,200 by the time we're done.
So now you calculate you have about $130,000 to go, is that right?
We still do, yes, $130,000.
And so what's the plan for that?
Sure. We will be submitting deadlines tomorrow, so later today I'll be submitting our Community Preservation Act application. There's a Community Preservation Committee, CPC, that acts on the various applications from people in town. And there's a process where those are reviewed, and then there's a recommendation from the Community Preservation Committee which one of those should go in front of town meeting. We're looking for $100,000, which is a lot of money, but it's just for a great cause. So we're hoping at town meeting our proposal, our application gets to that point and it gets approved for $100,000.
So just to give residents an understanding of what the Community Preservation Committee does and where the funds come from, that is there was a law enacted, I believe it was 2000, the CPC Act was in 2000 or 2002, I can't remember for sure. But the town went ahead and adopted this 3% property tax surcharge, and that's where the funds come from when they are applied to something in town, a project in town that is either recreational, open space, or historic preservation. So the funds could come from either the Community Preservation Committee or from the Capital Planning Committee?
Yes. We're also seeking $100,000 from the capital budget. And if you're doing the math, you might say, well, if you need $171,000 and you've already raised $44,000, why would you need $200,000? I realize with the process that's in place for the Community Preservation Act funds as well as the capital budget, there's no guarantee that will be funded. We're being optimistic and hopeful that will be funded through both sources. But if we were funded by both sources, certainly we could return some of those funds because we don't need all those funds. But as a fallback strategy, I realize that we want to meet that goal of $171,000, and we didn't want to turn down this opportunity. I know there's a chance that one or both don't even get to the town meeting on March 24th, just 2.5 months from now. But we're hopeful that with the wisdom of the people on each of those committees, feel as though it's worthy to go in front of town meeting, and then the attendees at town meeting are kind enough and support our cause.
Well, certainly a playground seems essential to an elementary school, and I would imagine that you know in your head what the benefits to a child's socialization is.
Right.
Socialization is in terms of playing on a playground. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting. The American Academy of Pediatrics has really been a leader in the industry, saying how much play is important for children. For their cognitive development, for them to apply their creative thought, to use their imagination, to follow rules. I mean, that's really a life skill that we hope translates to, when they, if they choose to, are driving a vehicle. Just knowing right from wrong. So, there are just so many benefits to the playground. Certainly, to be able to decompress from the rigors of learning. Learning isn't easy for all of the children, whether it's the day school or not only here in Westford, but wherever schools are. And the kids really need some time to have a chance to play, to interact with children that aren't in their class. That child that they met through the dance class or on the soccer team or on the soccer field. One of the things that I heard recently, an educator who I have a lot of respect for said they thought of a playground as an outdoor classroom. And I said, that's really, very brilliant as far as the benefits that go into recess. It isn't just, a void in the school day. It still counts as time on learning because the state has regulations that all schools in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have to follow. And years ago, recess wasn't counted as time on learning, but now it is.
Oh, that's good.
It's really been a focus, Joyce, throughout the district, led by the leadership of our school superintendent, Bill Olson, that the social emotional needs of students should be on par with the academic proficiency that they develop, whether it's as a third grader or a fifth grader or a student at Westford Academy. At any age level, it's really important that the kids become well-rounded and have a chance to just get away from a very structured approach or the approach of the classroom. Although some kids thrive in the classroom, some students, maybe the best part of the day is their recess experience.
Absolutely. And I was just going to mention that as a parent, I was surprised to learn how structured society had made the raising of children. I wasn't aware until I, started to integrate into the community with my own children that everything was, sort of on a schedule. And, when I grew up, and probably when you grew up, we had very unstructured playtime in the neighborhood with cousins, friends.
That's a
whatever.
terrific point, Joyce. I have said to people the last many years, I think society has become adultified, and there are a lot of good reasons for that. I think one of the reasons is for safety. It isn't always safe to jump on your bicycle or just walk down to the local park. Plus, a lot of times it's necessary for both parents to be working out of the house. And therefore, it's not as easy to say, yes, I can drive you over for a play date, because sometimes the parents aren't home until the late hours. So taking it back to the playground gives the kids an opportunity for that unstructured time. Now, I'm sure they have it at home, but actually having other children to play with is perhaps not able to take place in the neighborhood.
Absolutely, and learning how to negotiate and maneuver through society, that is the microcosm, that unstructured play. So I completely understand the need and the purpose of this playground.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about socialization. Meeting new children, how to make friends, how to navigate those turbulent waters of somebody that you don't want to be friends with, practicing conflict resolution. Our elementary schools guidance counselors do a wonderful job with our children, providing structured classes, but then again, there's that word again, structured. We're hoping students take what they learn in those opportunities with their guidance counselor and classroom teacher, and then can apply it outside during their recess time. So it's one of the many benefits of the playground.
Well, you're the best salesman for this kind of fundraising campaign, just because you obviously believe in what you're doing in terms of this playground.
Right. As my administrative experience, and then before being an administrator, being a physical education teacher, I just really believe that an active child is going to be healthier, both cognitively, emotionally, physically. It just makes a lot of sense to me. It's a natural.
So I just want to get back to the money a little bit, because if you get the $100,000 from either capital planning or the Community Preservation Committee, or a little bit of from each.
Yes.
Not a little bit, a lot from each.
Yeah, it is a lot.
It's a lot. If you get the funds, the $100,000, and you've raised, what did you say?
$44,000 at this point.
So you still have a little bit less than $30,000 to go for your target?
Well, you figure we're not going to stop, because if those funds from the Community Preservation Committee or capital budget don't materialize, so we really are going to continue with our strategy until we get to town meeting, which is March 24th. But maybe we're going to be in a good situation. We're going to say, thank you, but we don't need the full allocation that you're willing to give us. And then I think the Community Preservation Committee and the Capital Budget Committee can then talk and say, okay, if you provide A, we'll provide B, couple that with the revenue we've already generated, and then we're able to either order the material for the playground or go out to bid.
Oh, and that brings up a question. What's the timeline? Once, what would be the timeline after town meeting?
Right. Yeah, very good question. The capital budget funds wouldn't be available until July 1st, 2018. That's the start of the new fiscal year.
Correct.
And however, the Community Preservation Committee funds are available in the middle of April. So we're going to have to do some planning on when can we actually order the playground materials, and then there'll be a wait period. I'm going to assume it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks, but we're hoping to install the new playground no later than September of 2018. If it were August or July, that would be terrific. Wouldn't it be great to open the new school year with, kids, here's your new playground, you know, with a beautiful surface, not sand, where Chris Sardella has decided that it would be manufactured wood chips, which is actually better. If a child were to fall, it helps buffer their fall. So we're hoping, again, no later than September 2018, and then after that's done, then we'll install the new brick walkway, which I think will be impressive too.
Oh, that would be wonderful, and we'll be watching from WestfordCAT so we can help you make sure the community knows that it happened and it's built.
Okay, that'd be great. We're even talking, Joyce, about the possibility of having a dedication. That way we can thank all of our donors. You know, we can just have a grand celebration. I'd like to thank all the members of the development committee. Again, people that have gone to 6 meetings that we've had so far. We formed a Buy a Brick subcommittee. You know, there really needs to be a way for me to thank these people that are so dedicated with their time, not only going to meetings of the committee, but Judy Morrison, for example. Judy is coordinating the Buy a Brick program, and she is tracking all orders. She's double checking to make sure that what we engrave on the brick will be what the person that's purchased wants. So, you know, I want to, at that celebration, be able to thank each of the people on the committee and anybody that's actually donated time and or funding for one of the many fundraisers we've had.
Well, that's great, Kevin. We only have about 30 seconds left. So do you have anything you want to say to the community before we end?
Yes, thank you to those people that have supported our cause. And if they haven't yet, if they could buy a brick or participate in one or more of the fundraisers, the kids are the ones that are going to benefit from this project. So it's well worth it.
Thank you, Kevin. So you heard Kevin, buy a brick if you can. And for WestfordCAT News, this is Joyce Polino Crane. See you around town.